the draws go.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also like Forsen's deck is pretty interesting. Like I'm not sure if I've seen this kind of deck before, but it seems like he's running everything. He has the Wild Growth, he has a double combo, and he has a lot of mid-range card as well. So let's quickly jump into the game as the players are taking a mulligan here.
Well, we talked about Innervate and Spectral Knight and how that can be a really good disruption to Miracle Rogue, and maybe we'll see that. I can't really imagine pushing away Spectral Knight from this opening hand by Forsen.
Yeah, definitely Spectral Knight on turn 2. Oh my god, this might be so devastating. Like you will really have to like have an SA7 or use a weapon to actually kill it.
Yeah,
and Savjz has no
poison.
cards, kind of. He has Deadly Poison, he has SA7, so he might actually be able to deal with the Spectral Knight on turn 2 if Forsen actually decides to play it.
I think you
going
have
for
to.
it.
There's
He's going
no
for it.
better way to start off against Miracle Rogue as the Druid player, in my opinion. Even Innervated Yeti is inferior to this play, in my opinion.
Yeah, this guy is so annoying, and especially on turn 2, especially on the empty board. Even with... Wait, can you... He can actually... Like, even if he uses preparation to use Deadly Poison and then SA7, it's still not enough. It's still not enough. It's still like 5 points of damage. And use so much resource to actually like deal with this guy. I guess you have to attack into it twice. That's the best course of action.
Spectral Knight will do 12 damage.
Yeah, and
That's
this is
pretty
exactly
bananas.
And this is exactly what Druid needs. It's like because Druid wants to deal as much damage as possible to be able to use the combo as soon as possible. And this is just a race. It's like it's not about board position. It's a race. Who wins first? And if you are able to put this kind of pressure on Miracle Rogue really starts to struggle. This is very interesting. Like, what will Savjz do? There is no good way to deal with this.
Absolutely not. At least what's nice is he does have a Farseer to recover some of its HP. Ooh, he's looking for a creative play. Maybe he weapons up Deadly Poison and SI7. It accomplishes almost the same exact thing, but I guess you're slightly more mana efficient. But I think he's going to play this down notes, draw off of it, and see what he gets.
Yeah, basically Felnos is a cycle card here. Yeah, like you don't have any plan for it. It will probably be killed. If it tanks 4 damage, it's even better. But it will probably just tank the Shapeshift, and it nets you a card, which is good.
Okay, so this opening has netted Forsen a considerable life lead. And, you know, Savjz will recover some of it with his Farseer, but boy, was that painful.
Oh my god, like 12 points of damage. This is so disgusting. I think it was really worth it.
I think so. You trade Innervate for, well, effectively 8 damage, I guess, because you don't always necessarily guarantee the damage from Spectral Knight.
Also, there's a Yeti follow-up, which is pretty good. Yeti is also hard to deal with here. You probably sap it and try to build the board, but on the other hand, there is some removal in Forsen's hand. And he has a really good follow-up with like Druid of the Claw and Ancients of Lore to draw into more cards to get that combo, and maybe a second Innervate to like speed up the kill.
Do you like pushing out a slightly bigger Van Cleave, or do you feel like 4/4 is enough?
The Brotherhood shall come.
I would probably put a 6/6. I will use one preparation just to get a 6/6. It's like I feel like 4/4 is just too easy to get swiped. Or even Druid of the Claw charge into Edwin. Still just shutting down my Edwin with 6/6. I would expect Keeper of the Grove being the only answer.
Does sound reasonable. Whoa, but he does have Eviscerate. So he does have a way to kind of deal with it. And try to combo. So you can kind of squeeze in Eviscerate, SI7 agent, and drop Van Cleef once more. I like it. It's clean. It's nice. Has to kind of sequence it so that way he doesn't extend it to BGH. Plays as a 6/6 and then SI7 agent last.
Now he's probably regretting the fact that he didn't play it as a 6/6 to begin with.
Sure. But you can't always make that call. You know, you might draw into the gadget stand the next turn, and all of a sudden you look like a genius for saving your preparations.
Well, now he has a sick preparation, kind of like just waiting for something, right? Like 2 dead cards that can actually become amazing, or will just remain dead till the end of the game. But at least his board is fine.
Well, let's see what Forsen has. He can kind of start removing a little bit, but that Innervate might be sitting there for a little bit until he picks up something a little bit better. Maybe something to combo off of the Ancient of Lures. And this is a very defensive turn and a good sign for Savjz because of what he's able to kind of do. Picks up an SI7 agent. Unfortunately, it's not an easy way to combo.
Well, he can use preparation to actually kill it. Like attack with a Farseer into Yeti. Like it really depends what he wants to keep. I feel like attacking the Yeti with Edwin is actually fine because then you're safe. If you would attack with Farseer and just keep Edwin, Edwin is still really vulnerable to Keeper of the Grove top deck. So using your Edwin here is, I guess, correct.
Picking up immediate value and still having a pretty intimidating board and representing lots of damage with 6, 3, and 3, so 12.
This is actually like 13 points of damage with the weapon, so it's getting pretty dangerous. Those two cards on Savjz's hand are looking horribly for Forsen. Like Forsen's probably afraid of those cards. What are the possible cards there? Like what can it be? Leroy and Shadow Step? You never know.
Yeah, I think it's better to play safe and remove that Edwin. And he does end up playing that Harvest Golem in response to try to develop something on the board. Savjz picks up Sap, still kind of gassed out here. The nice thing about Harvest Golem is that Swipe does set it up so that way they basically have to trade into it if they want to get rid of it. So Savjz is just going to push for damage. He's going to use his cards when the time comes, but for now, force his opponent for removal. And this might be an opportunity for Forsen to kind of climb back in this game.
Definitely, Savjz is doing what he can with the cards he was dealt. Like those cards are not exciting, and well, he just needs to push for damage and then just try to get that Leroy and maybe be able to win. If in the next two turns, if he is able to draw into Leroy and Shadow Step, maybe he'll actually get a chance.
Well, gosh, he has a Spectral Knight, and that's going to do so much work. I don't think there's any way for Savjz to remove it. And then, he picks up Assassin's Blade, but that's going to be a hefty price. I think you just have to go for it.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to push for damage, and
yep.
You can probably expect the combo, but it doesn't matter for you anyway because if there is a combo, you're dead. So I guess Forsen will.
Well, this is where I think you start healing. Yeah, I don't think. Or can you calculate damage with the Druid of the Claw and see maybe if you can somehow be able to push for it? I don't know. He's going to go for the taunt because he wants to set up a wall in case it is a Leroy, which makes complete sense. In fact, if he healed up with the Keeper of the Grove, he still could just die to Leroy Shadow Step plus something else.
Yeah, we mentioned that before. Like Forsen is also a Miracle Rogue player, so he definitely can count the damage that Miracle Rogue is able to deal. And Forsen is also well known for counting 1 damage of lethal, so he probably can count here.
That stinks. A Conceal. He's still waiting for his gadgets in.
It's a blank. Well, on the other hand, Savjz got pretty lucky with the draws playing versus Reynad, so now it kind of comes back, right? The karma.
Oh, you're saying it's karma. It's a little unfair considering the series does reset, and Savjz would love to have a good start with this. But it seems like his back's against the wall. How are you supposed to pull himself out of this one?
Here we go.
Well, he's not dead next turn still. And if Forsen plays the taunt, that's bad for Savjz. Like he will have to draw into Gadgetzan, and if he draws a Gadgetzan, maybe miracles can happen. But if he gets anything else, he's just dead. And the Savage Roar, then he really needs that Gadgetzan. Like Gadgetzan is the only out, and maybe not even. Wait, is he dead anyway?
I don't know. I don't know.
6 plus.
I think
3
Druid of the Claw does come out here because he just sapped it, and he would have to have a second sap plus the double like a Shadow Step with Leroy in order to finish this off, or maybe like Leroy Visceray. Basically, force him to have pieces to combo. Plus, healing for 5 is essentially the same exact thing as placing this Druid of the Claw. You're gating health effectively, but you're trying to put something tangible rather than Leroy going to the face.
You know what?
Magic Break off the top.
Forsen was actually 1 damage of lethal.
Was he? I don't know. Maybe we didn't calculate it immediately, but he was close, but not good enough. And Savjz whiffs, and he's not able to get anything else, so he's going to play his preparations and concede, realizing that this game is over. And game number 1 goes to Forsen.
Silence the Twilight Drakes with Keeper of the Grove, kill the Giant, just cancel their turn, build up your board. Like, even the combo is pretty good. If you're able, if they play those Molten Giants, where normally Molten Giants were scary and like hard to deal with, you can just use the first combo, clear the board, and then use the second combo to win the game. So right now with Sludge Belchers, it might be a bit different, and like the Nerubinex can also be meaningful in this matchup. But I would still give a slight edge to the Druid deck with those counter cards.
Ooh, what about that kind of start with Wild Growth and Innervate? And he has Keeper of the Grove.
And a coin as well. Pretty sick.
Not bad. Ramping for days.
And double Yeti. Oh my god. You can like...
It makes sense. You Yeti, you Wild Growth, and then you Yeti. Sounds like a good game plan to me. And Savjz will have to deal with a good amount of early pressure right from the get-go. He could not be happy about that because you're life tapping.
You're life tapping for life. So
Gosh.
hard. By the way, did you know that Yeti on this art is actually running away from a Warlock that casted Fear? So this Yeti is not charging. It's running. It's running away.
That's a fun fact. I didn't know that. Huh.
But here the Yeti is just running straight into Handlock's face, and the second he is falling next turn. There is
you
nothing
tap, you're at
can
22,
play.
you take 4 more, you're at 18, and he doesn't know, but there's another Yeti following up, and guess what?
And a BGH.
He has a BGH.
And Keeper, like whatever Savjz will play, it's dead. Like if he plays the Giant, what is the correct play? Because your opponent maybe is not playing BGH and definitely playing double Keeper of the Grove. The Giant is actually a more devastating play here for Savjz.
I can't believe
even
this
a
is
Wrath.
the dream
Oh my
start.
god, he actually got a wait. The Wrath for that next turn.
The Wrath for the Drake, as well as the Keeper of the Grove Silence. Like it actually cannot get any better unless that Innervate was a Savage Roar.
And Savjz doesn't have any Molten Giants in here. We're potentially looking at a turn 4 kill from the Druid. Or is it like turn...
Oh my god.
Or is it turn 5? With Wild Growth? It's always confusing with Wild Growth which turn it is. It will be turn 5 kill. Kind of. Okay,
yes.
maybe. Yeah, it is.
Maybe it can happen though. If he draws Black Knight, it's over.
No,
Wait, he
it's,
just silences it though.
It
No,
is,
you're right.
It just silences it. It's turn 5 kill. Oh my god,
oh my
so
goodness.
sick.
That is a quick game too. I can't believe it. I was just starting to get warmed up and looking at the board, and now Savjz has dropped 2 games in a row to this Druid deck. But that's kind of what Innervate and Wild Growth does when it does when it gets out of control. Even the Innervate finish from Forsen and the Wrath. Why not?
Rough face. Way.
Draw a card too.
Card. Sure.
All right.
Was
Well,
so
game
fast.
number 2 was so quick. And now Savjz has lost.
Well, it should be good versus mid-range Druid, definitely, and as well as Warrior, and as well as Priest. We are looking at a possible comeback here. Like, Savjz should be able to actually like 3-0 Forsen with Hunter.
Maybe. You know, the Hunter deck is a little bit reliant on the draws, but when you have a starting hand like that, the Web Spinner Hunter Creeper, that's exactly what you're looking for. And Savjz can kind of pick up something very nice, maybe even a very useful beast off the Web Spinner to drop in the mid-game, 3 or 4 mana cost, so that way he's not skipping a turn.
Maybe even an Angry Chicken.
Maybe even an Angry Chicken and Houndmaster. The dream is still alive.
Definitely a Jungle Panther, or however you call that 4-2 stealth, would be the best. The Jungle Panther, sure.
Why not? Forsen with double Savage Roar opening.
This hand is so bad for Forsen. There is no potential.
Unless he picks up something with Innervate. Like Innervate, he can kind of start curving out a little bit better, but just like you said, it'll still be awkward for a while. Let's find out what Savjz draws. A Tundra Rhino.
Tundra Rhino is pretty nice. It really it confuses your opponent as well. It's like, because you'll play Tundra Rhino like in a kind of a late game, so your opponent will have to assume like Tundra Rhino might be actually in the deck, like it might be on an actual list. So if Savjz wins this game, then Forsen will have to play around Thunder Rhino, right? Kind of.
Oh, that's so funny. You're so right. Unless he's paying attention to where that card was placed and he's eyeing it to make sure he has a good sense of it. You can kind of keep track of where your opponent's cards are going. Look at this curve, by the way, for Savjz. It's so nice. You got Animal Companion. You have Hound Master as the opportunity
Hound Master.
as well.
I feel you can even Hound Master now. That's definitely good because you haven't seen a 3-drop from your opponent. And a possible 4-drop is a Keeper of the Grove or Swipe. Like, those are the cards. And he gets the Swipe, actually. But the Swipe, well, it will only kill one of those minions. And you still are empty boarded, kind of, facing a minion. And also, like, using Swipe here is so painful because you want to use Swipe to kill those spiders at some point.
Yeah. You want to kill off whatever those minions are summoned by a death rattle, and I think Savjz was happy to see that swipe being used there pretty ineffectively. Now, Animal Companion will be pushed. Let's see what he gets. A Huffer, so he can add damage right back, and this is not a position Druid wants to be in. They're going to have to be really defensive. But that plays straight into the hands of Hunter when they can use things like Deadly Shot and continue to press.
This is a pretty good Animal Companion to get. He is an aggressor here. He is pushing with damage, and Forsen, it will be hard to stabilize. Like after that.
Oh man, Deadly Shot's gonna completely destroy Forsen's day.
Oh yeah, and then another Haunted Creeper will just develop the board, and you feel safe because. Do you Lotheb?
Lotheb might be legitimate as well. I mean, you go for the board development. I mean, the Spectral Knight has to crash into the spiders anyways, so you can kind of use it to effectively trade.
I can easily tell you why Lotheb is being played in here because Force of Nature on turn 6 will be so good for Forsen. So Savjz is denying that Force of Nature play.
Sure, makes total sense. Okay, he's going to go for the Black Knight and try to clear out some of these minions. So, unfortunately, he doesn't play around everything. And there is a nice minion kind of squad on the board. But Savjz has put a lot of damage already. 7 with the kill command. Wait. Oh my god.
Wait.
Is that already game? Because he has the kill command and the damage. What is going on? These games are ending so quickly, Nimsh. And Savjz is going to be able to climb back barely in the series 1-2 and destroy Forsen's Druid deck.
I don't know what's going on actually. Like a lot of people told me that this metagame should be. Also, there is one important thing. Savjz is missing the Iron Beak Owl, which is pretty good in this matchup when you're able to silence like Acolyte of Pain or like Armorsmith. Here he will have to rely on the mid-range minions and the traps. I don't feel like traps are really effective in this matchup because Warrior is mostly about like playing minions, right? He just stabilizes and hard to tell.
Freezing Trap can be pretty gross sometimes. Just with some of the things that you can do early game to seize tempo, and Warrior can't kind of get anything going. I think it really does depend on how the draws kind of fall into place for Hunter. Savjz wants to get a good start though, and Animal Companion is one of those valuable cards where you do want to get a really important start with something like a Misha.
Actually, his hand doesn't look that good, and now he has to use tracking turn 1, which is always a painful choice because if you use it on turn 1, it's also a signal to your opponent that hey, my hand is bad. I had to use tracking now instead of like using tracking on turn 4 or like later in the game.
Aha! So Savjz does pick up the Web Spinner, which can draw him a valuable beast later on. A little bit off curve, but no worries. That Web Spinner will make it up to you. I promise you, Yane.
Definitely, Web Spinner is a cool card in here
great.
Because he doesn't have a good follow up. So if Web Spinner actually gives him a turn 5 drop like Kodo or like Rhino or even like a King Crush, that would be so good for Savjz. But on the other hand, if he gets one of the like bad beasts, let's see what he gets.
I'm looking forward to it. What's it gonna be?
Oh man, this is so bad. No, he didn't want to get it.
I mean, he gave up a Stone Tusk board to draw this card. Oh, he gets the Huffer. That's bad too. Not a good start for Savjz. Great for Forsen though, as he's able to kind of stabilize very easily and start to weather the storm.
If Forsen is in a really good position here, he can even coin the Spectral Knight next turn. And we discussed it before. Spectral Knight is super hard to remove. Well, Well, unless you play the freezing trap. Actually, it might work in this scenario. It'd be so interesting to see freezing trap used on a spectral knight. But
Unfortunately, if he used freezing trap, that gives Forsen the opportunity to something like slam his own acolyte to draw and then play it and then get it back in his hand. If that was the case. So I don't know if that's what you want. I don't know if Savjz is going to be playing into something like that, but I think freezing trap on the acolyte doesn't feel worth it most of the time.
no. Yeah, I mean like freezing trap next turn maybe. Clear the
I thought you
acolyte.
said freezing trap here. I was,
No. I mean, it would be a possible play, but I don't feel like it. Like, you definitely want to keep freezing trap for the later turns. Do you Stone Tusk Boar and Handmaster here to kill the acolyte to give him only one card? I guess it makes a lot of sense. You have a positive 3/3 on board and a 4/3 as well.
yeah, I like it. It's also a way to kind of contest and challenge the Spectral Knight, so that way it's forced to kind of trade in, assuming your opponent doesn't have something like Fiery War Axe to be able to efficiently clear. So I think it's the best play. I think anything else like an Animal Companion is a little bit too RNG based.
Also, Forsen has a lot of spell cards right now. Oh, he got a... This is quite nice. He got a shield block and a slam as well. Shield slam.
Yeah, that's really valuable against the inevitable high mains that'll be coming out during this matchup. Usually the matchup drags out long enough that you'll see at least one high main, unless Hunter has them in their bottom 5 cards or something like that. Okay, so where does Forsen go from here? He does have options to kind of remove, but how does he go about it? Do you start off by slamming the Houndmaster and seeing what you get, or how do you go about it?
It's tough because he only has 5 mana, so I just went through a couple of scenarios. Like, I would definitely want to keep my Spectral Knight as a 4/6 and not attack into anything. But all the combinations of cards are pretty weird. You can possibly, like, for example, armor up and shield slam the boar and then, well, definitely not execute. I guess he will have to attack into something. So maybe shield block, see what you get, slam the 4/3 and then attack into 3/2.
Well, he picks up the slam, a second slam, so that makes him feel a little bit better about being able to use one of them immediately. And Forsen will finally make his move. Savjz picks up a second Hunter's Mark, which is kind of useless. He needed some other beast to draw. Seems like he's not happy about it either.
This
Wants
shows
to throw
the
it
power
away.
of the Spectral Knight. Spectral Knight is so annoying for all those decks. That's why I feel like this card is one of the best cards. Like, he just had to hero power in the past. Like, how bad is that? He didn't have any good play in here.
Oh, it's just gonna get worse with his opponent just stacking his advantage.
And
Yeah,
Curse
things
is also
like
a very
freezing
powerful
trap
card.
can be activated pretty easily, and you place a second Spectral Knight.
He's just freezing trap, like last turn playing a freezing trap and getting the Spectral Knight to like kind of heal himself.
I don't know. It's difficult. It's in these positions you're giving up a lot by trying to assume too much of your opponent, and then if you get called in your bluff, you just get blown out of the games. What can
The problem
Savjz
is-
even roll here in the Animal Companion that'd be good?
Yeah, it's so painful because he doesn't have like a Timberwolf or a Buzzard. Like, with those cards, he will be able to clear kind of, but without it, it's just like get 2 dogs and do nothing. Maybe
He's also
if
going
he
to be
gets-
playing straight into Black Knight with Houndmaster if he ever like plays it. So at this stage, Forsen has a lot of good answers to whatever Savjz can put out.
I guess this is the correct play. He just chips the armor off, and well, but Forsen will probably realize what kind of card is this.
Yeah,
And with
when you
Armor Smith top deck, this Armor Smith is actually a pretty good card to draw
Armor made to
because you
Yeah.
you can just not attack and then probe next turn and see what trap it is. Oh,
Yeah,
man,
if it's
this-
explosive trap on some off case, then you gain a lot of armor. So it's very good position for Forsen once again. And perhaps this is why he feels confident against mid-range Hunter, because you do have these games sometimes where you just don't draw into anything to do whatsoever. Now Savjz all of a sudden doesn't want to play something like Haunted Creeper because it just
looks-
feeds directly into more armor.
Yeah, it looks
It's
so
bad
bad
either
for
way.
Savjz. So bad for Savjz. Like normally facing this kind of the board, you want to have either an explosion like Leroy, kill commands and stuff, or Unleash the Hounds and Buzzard. But because Savjz used his Unleash the Hounds to just clear the Spectral Knight, now he has no potential in this hand. Like he only can play a couple of minions. But Forsen will be able to just use the trap on a 1/4 Acolyte and then push with damage, and Forsen becomes the aggressor in this game.
Savjz feels completely shackled down. He can't use any of his removals for like Hunter's Mark and be able to combo. He can't play any spells. He's just gonna pass. 2 turns of just passing essentially. He played his freezing trap, but that really didn't do much. And now Forsen can take a firm lead in this game when he discovers this is freezing trap, what he suspected from the beginning. This is bad news for Savjz.
Being Forsen, what do you do here? Do you like force the Black Knight?
Made to fit.
Nah,
Or you
I
just
think
play
you
Azure?
slow play it. You slow play it for sure. You know, do you think there is merit to if you really think it's freezing trap? Do you like play Lotheb and then, or you get freezing trap Lotheb so that you can play him again? If you absolutely know it's freezing trap.
Well, that's not a bad play. I mean, like, if there is a second freezing trap, you can probably attack with Lotheb first and see what happens. If you have enough mana, like, if it's late enough in the turn.
It's definitely assuming a lot. By the way, Savjz feels like he has to do this because his opponent is coming up on turns where Grommash can come out, and he might just die. So he has to kind of prepare for the possibility he might lose. Unfortunately, removal, like Hunter's Mark on Cairn, he's still resilient because Bane will come out and still 4 or 5 minion can attack. So Savjz is still looking at a really tough position, and he might drop the series if he can't pull himself out of this hole.
Well, do you play Lotheb here, by the way, being Savjz? This Misha will get wrecked by Black Knight, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, Savjz already kind of resigning himself to defeat. Black Knight comes out, dealing 4 damage, taking everything, stealing Savjz's lunch money. And 10 damage does exist right here, but I think you go for the trade. Just again, take your time. Warrior plays this long game against the mid-range Hunter. And pressure advantage. Savjz needs something big.
He gets a big card, but this is not something he needed.
Oh man, he's frazzled. You know, just look at how fast he's playing and how erratic his mouse movement has gotten. Forsen's in full control. Grommash has arrived with Whirlwind execute. This game, this series is over. And now Forsen has jumped to a 2-1 spot in his group and ties Savjz, which puts him firmly tied for first place and awaits the verdict between Lucky and Reynad. If Lucky wins, it's a 3-way tie, but if Lucky loses, Forsen and Savjz advance to the single elimination stage.
Oh wow, Forsen really knows how to play that warrior. I'm telling you, this is a new metagame deck. Like, I'm sure a lot of players will actually pick up this deck and play it on ladder. It looks very solid, and I really like it.
It's not bad. Control Warrior